Good evening and welcome to the May 14th Town of Milton Planning Board meeting. Ms. Padula, would you lead us in the pledge to the flag?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I do have a couple of announcements. One, I want to make sure everybody's aware we have some technical difficulties on our Zoom video. The audio is still working and Amanda, our secretary, can see people if they want to speak. We do know we have one person that's zooming in at this point. So sorry about that, but we won't be able to have any Zoom video tonight. We'll take care of that. Also wanted to mention that the Town Comprehensive Plan Committee is in its final stages of developing the comprehensive plan. The committee will be hosting a public outreach meeting on Wednesday, May 21st, 2025 from 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. The meeting will focus on the vision and goals of the plan and probably has some preliminary directions on what a future land use map might look like and some objectives and goals that the plan will be doing. So we're asked, and the meeting's going to be at the Rock City Falls Firehouse in the hamlet of Rock City Falls. Encourage residents, business owners, and anybody else to come and participate in that meeting. The presentation is going to focus in on that draft vision statement for the next 10 to 20 years of the town, getting feedback on goals and associated strategies for the 8 topical areas that the committee looked at. Then we will start to outline how they're going to reach the conclusion of the planning process. I think they're planning to be done late May, early June, and probably have something to the town board no later than July. But this is the third and final public meeting of the committee. There still will have to be a formal public hearing, at least one, before the town board adopts it, a referral to the planning board. We may hold a meeting on it. So there'll be some more opportunity, but this is really getting to the final stages of those recommendations. That's all I had. Does anybody else have anything they want to announce at this point? All right. Our first order of business this evening is approval of our April meeting minutes. I will entertain a motion to approve the planning board meeting minutes for April 9th, 2025.
Mr. Chairman, I so move.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Any discussion or changes to the minutes? If there are none, please pull the board.
Mr. Marsicano?
Yes.
Hello? Yeah. Ms. Van Danza?
Yes.
Mr. Whittle?
Yes.
Mr. Fry?
Yes.
Ms. Marin?
Yes.
Chairman Bartow?
Yes. At this point, we'll open the meeting for public comment. Please note that we do have a public hearing tonight on a special use permit and site plan for a bar at 410 Geyser Road. So if you have comments on that project, I'd ask you to wait until we open the hearing so your comments can be on the record. Otherwise, we'll take any other comments on any matter at this point. We continue again to have both virtual and in-person opportunities. So I'd ask if you're Zooming, use the wave hand feature so Amanda can note that. I've tried to limit your individual comments to 3 minutes. And if you have written comments, please summarize them. And if you want, leave a copy with the board so we have it on the record. I'll open the public comment period at 7:03 p.m. Is there anybody that would like to address the board at this time? Anything online? Okay. Public comment going once, going twice. We'll close the comment period at 7:04 p.m. Okay, our first project we have this evening is the continued review of a site plan and special use permit for a bar at 410 Geyser Road. If you recall, we last saw this project in April with a request to obtain some additional information on emergency vehicle access, some screening, and some other minor details. And the applicant's representative is here. If you just introduce yourself, Scott, and we'll get going.
Okay, good evening. My name is Scott Lansing with Lansing Engineering. I'm representing Jenna Clark, who is the applicant for the project. We're here tonight for the 410 Geyser Road minor site plan and special use permit. Our primary purpose for this evening is for the public hearing associated with the special use permit. What we will do is I was hoping to go through kind of the nuts and bolts background and basics of the proposal And then the applicant,
Sure.
Ms. Clark, would like to just talk briefly about her goals and intent of her the business plan.
Absolutely.
Parcel. As far as the parcel itself, it is located at 410 Geyser Road on the north side of Geyser Road. The area is approximately 1.8 acres. There is an existing home on the parcel. As far as surrounding uses, I started with the kind of a zoom out of the overall parcel. The parcel is quite large at 1.89 acres, does extend back quite some distance. As far as surrounding uses, we do have the Country Club Plaza, which is immediately to the west of the parcel. We have residential businesses, Dozer Bar and Grill to the south, pretty much right across the street of Geyser Road. We have Geyser Vacuum right to the north, and also Upstate Bus and Garage up in kind of the northern northeast portion of the parcel. Last but not least, we have the Deer Run Townhomes, which are located in this area. You can see the various structures associated with that project. We are zone TC, Town Center District. As far as what the proposal includes, it does include the conversion of the single-family home to a bar. So the existing residence, the usable area is approximately 768 square feet. That is the interior space of the existing structure. And then the applicant is also proposing 683 square feet of service area on the back portion connected to the structure. So overall, approximately 1,400 square feet of service area. As far as amenities associated with the operation, these amenities are exclusive to the patrons of the facility. We are proposing 2 volleyball courts. Those are full size, 30 foot by 60 foot each. Outdoor game area in this vicinity, which is approximately a 30 by 40 foot area. There is a pergola proposed for people to gather in while volleyball and outdoor games might be going on. Picnic tables associated with the service area and the facility. And last but not least, we have a detached restroom for the patrons. As far as access to the site, we are utilizing the existing curb cut, so there is a single access into the facility. As far as parking, we are proposing 28 parking spaces. That is also the number of spaces that are required per the town code. As far as hours for the service area, the applicant is proposing 11 a.m. to 12 a.m. daily. Outdoor activities would be limited to 9:30 p.m. Also, as a part of the project, there is an existing sidewalk system along Geyser Road. There are walkways connecting the various uses of the parking lot, the service area, and the restroom facility within the project. Plantings are also proposed. We are showing plantings along the entrance by Geyser Road to shield the parking area from Geyser Road. Also some supplemental plantings off on the western side, as well as in the northwestern side of the parcel. Overall, I do want to mention the project is proposed in accordance with the TC Town Center District requirements. We're not asking for any waivers or variances. Everything does meet the area and use requirements outlined in the zone. For the board's reference, we did receive some comments from the last meeting. I'll go through those quickly. First was addressing Mary Beth's comments, engineering comments. There was a question about percolation testing for the wastewater treatment system. We have gone out, done that percolation testing, and we did a deep hole test pit. Great soils, no groundwater, no modeling, no bedrock, no restrictions on the soils. And the perk rates were actually very, very good, almost too fast. They were above a minute, but great sandy soils out on the parcel, very conducive for wastewater treatment system. There's also a question about separation distances from the leach field lines and different amenities on the site. I feel we've addressed that comment, and then there was a question about what would happen with the existing system. The existing system is proposed to be abandoned in place, and the new system would be utilized. Also, we did receive comments from the town planner. Sophia's comments. First was relative to access for emergency services. We did widen the access way coming into the parcel with maybe a little sharper of a bend before, as far as getting vehicles and emergency service vehicles in there. No problem for an ambulance or a smaller type vehicle. As far as getting a fire truck in there, that is not something that we anticipate going into the site. If there is some unfortunate incident where a fire truck does need to visit the site, we feel they could easily set up on Geyser Road. And we think that's typical of other businesses and other structures along Geyser Road. There was also a question about screening, both plants and fence. We did expand on the plantings to shield the parking lot. We have also added some plantings on the western side of the structure, and then also up in the northwestern portion. The applicant is also proposing a fence along this side of the property line. So back to just past the parking lot for the Country Club Plaza to the west. The fence would just go past that parking area, so to shield that area, and then also over on the not so much for screening to other properties, but just to keep volleyballs and things of that nature confined within the space. There was also a question about drainage plan. We did add drainage arrows, and we took a look at the existing grading on the site to address that. And last but not least, it was a question about lighting. We are proposing 6 light poles on the site. They are 10-foot high. They are downward facing fixtures, dark sky compliant type fixtures. We did provide a photometric plan that shows that all the light from those light fixtures, which I think are relatively short light fixtures, are downward facing. There's no light spillage off the property. Everything is very well confined on the parcel. So neither the commercial properties next door or the residential properties way in the back we should have any concerns with light. And I just wanted to outline again where those residential structures are relative to the proposed amenities. So that is essentially it. Again, we're here tonight for public hearing for the special use permit, and we would like to request the board's consideration for approval if they deem it fit. With that, I'd like to turn it over quickly to Jenna Clark so she can talk about the business plan in the intent for that. Thank you.
Hello,
Hi.
everybody. So my background is not necessarily in food and beverage. So this is a new endeavor for myself, but I feel quite confident about it. And I'm really emphasizing sports and recreation within this. And I think it will be a great addition. It is defined as a bar because our primary sales will be beverages, but I see it being a place for people that athletes and friends of athletes to come feel comfortable, relax after work and enjoy. I don't want this to be a place that is going to disturb the neighborhood. I want to be respectful of the neighbors and work with them. And I'll be doing my best to make it a really high quality place that is going to really add to Milton. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Ms. Morocho, do you have some comments or you want to highlight your comments for the board?
Thank you. Good evening. So we're still waiting on a truck turning diagram to satisfy the fire chief and the building inspectors for the site. So we do want to see that in order to demonstrate that emergency access and fire apparatus can successfully access the site. So we do need to see that. I'll update my comments when we see that plan set. And the only other note that I would make is that a future submittal of the project should reflect the current conditions of the site with regard to the existence or removal of vegetation, so that the board can adequately make a decision with regard to considering things like screening, buffering, noise attenuation, things of that nature. But that's the limits of my comments at the time. Thank you.
Okay. And I just had a question for you, Scott. You noted that you widened the access way for EMS and you did the screening and some additional plantings and fencing and the lighting. Are they all shown on the plan now, or will that be on a subsequent plan?
As far as the changes to the entrance, that is shown on the current plans.
Okay.
The rendering primarily shows the additional plantings that we have added. I'm not sure if that made it to the black and white drawings. I can double check that, and we can absolutely add that if
Okay.
the board is so inclined. If they're willing to approve the project, could do that as a condition of approval if the board's comfortable with that. Yeah, the applicant is committed to providing whatever screening is necessary.
Okay. Okay. Okay, so Saratoga County Planning Board has conducted a review of this project, found that there's no countywide impacts. We did complete our seeker obligations for this project last month. So that's all taken care of. The requirement for the public hearing on the site plan is optional, but the board decided they wanted to do it. So at this point, we will open the public hearing at 7:14. Well, before I do that, does the board have any questions they want to ask right now, or would you just rather like to go to the hearing? Go there. Okay, so we'll open the hearing at 7:14 PM. Is there anybody that'd like to address the board on this? Okay, I'll take the gentleman in the blue coat up front. If you would just come up to the podium, give your name and address, and state your comment.
Hi, I'm Scott Seeplick. I'm the Chief Operating Officer of Upstate Transit of Saratoga. We have no objection as an adjacent property. We were just wondering mitigation due to the fact that we do have heavy machinery moving around our property. Is there anything that was taken into account or going to be taken into account to prevent people from wandering back into that area beyond just vegetation or anything like that? That was just our one minor concern, but we have absolutely no objection to being good neighbors with these folks in the future. So.
Okay. Okay. Next in the back there in the center.
Good evening. My name is Deborah Perry Duncan, and I reside at 58 Deer Run Drive. My property abuts the proposed project. We have spoken with Jenna Clark on numerous occasions regarding her vision and plan for this. We are in support of what she is attempting to do in terms of bringing competitive athletes to our community. We raised some issues regarding sound. My husband and I have invested heavily in our backyard, has been professionally landscaped. And we were concerned about sound, lighting, the hours of operation, whether or not people would wander onto our property. Would we have to erect another fence? Would we need to plant additional trees in order to protect our sight lines? And Jenna Clark has been more than supportive in indicating her willingness to cooperate with us, to work with us, to provide whatever is necessary to keep our home a happy home. And I appreciate that. And so we are here tonight to throw all of our weight behind her project.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to address the board at this time? Anybody online like to address the board at this time?
No hands.
Okay, last call for any public comments during the public hearing. Okay, there being none, I will entertain a motion to adjourn the public hearing at 7:17 PM.
Excuse me.
Bernadette, that was a motion?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll second it.
Coughed on it.
John Whittle, second. Okay,
Who was the second?
John Whittle. Okay, so we're closing the public hearing at this point. Does any other board members have comments they want to address at this point?
Yes, sorry, looking good. It sounds like you've had some conversations with your neighbors. The mitigations, are they reflected on there as far as preventing people from wandering? What are your plans for that? So if you're willing to do it.
If I could speak to that, as far as mitigation, the applicant has agreed to place the fence on the western side. That was not on previous applications, so it does start roughly in the area that I'm indicating here. Goes back to roughly this area. There are also additional evergreen plantings that proposing in that area. And outside of that, I believe that it addresses what the neighbors have asked for. I think the applicant has agreed to provide additional fencing, but there was actually a request to not provide additional fencing because it might make the back area feel closed off from them. And that's my understanding of the conversations. I was not involved in the conversations, but so the fencing that is shown is what my understanding has been agreed to.
And what about the transportation
Well,
company?
transportation, I'm sorry, I did want to address that. As far as the transportation area, that is, I love this picture because it does show the broader area. That is a fair distance back. There is a wooded area back in this area. As far as the activities, the service area, the parking, I think everything is fairly well removed as far as getting to that area. It's roughly 150 to 250 feet, probably even further, probably more like 400 feet to get back to the area where they do have the heavy equipment. So I think that's mitigated just by distance and existing vegetation and convenience. I think it's probably more accessible if somebody were to walk on the sidewalk and go through this area. It's probably a closer distance and more readily accessible that way. So we don't anticipate anybody to go that way, but we are not proposing any sort of a fence or any sort of a barrier in that area right now.
What's that? Yeah. Any other comments? Jim?
To alleviate the noise concern, should we put the hours of operation on the special use permit? Because if the permit goes with the property, and if Ms. Clark should sell in the future, I think it should be clearly stated what the hours of operation are.
We can do that. We typically have not done that in some uses, but it could be since
Yeah.
that point's been
I
raised.
think it just prevents them having to go
That
back
doesn't
through
prevent
meeting
somebody from
minutes.
coming back and seeking an amendment to the special use permit. Let's say
That's fine.
somebody wanted to
but-
come in with the same use, in this case, a
Right.
bar. They could go, but they'd be limited by those hours of operation unless they came back and asked us to amend that.
Which I think is appropriate. I'd like to see those hours in the
Council, you
permit.
got anything to add to that? Microphone. Oh, Sophia, do you have a thought?
So I just want to clarify, and I'll take the hit on that this is actually for site plan, not special use because the bar is permitted.
Straight, I'm sorry, site plan.
So-
Clarify
So
that.
simply that if it were considered as a condition of approval for the site plan, that might be something that the board would think about. Maybe that would be in relation to mitigating or managing impacts to neighbors and other site plan elements like lighting, screening, things like that.
So in that case, I mean, the site plan too runs with the land, so that condition would be there. Then would require if somebody wanted different, let's say another bar came and said, I'd like to be open till 2 a.m., which is, I guess, the legal limit in Saratoga County, maybe 4 a.m. That would require them to get an amendment to the site plan then.
Yes, and if I may, I think you'd want that.
Okay.
I think you'd want that. I think if people were expanding the potential impact, you would want that to be a mechanism that brought them back to you.
Yeah, I mean, that would be easy if there was a change of use, then we
Right.
would clearly have a whole new site plan. If it was for the continuance of the same use, somebody's gonna have to remember to enforce that, is gonna be the challenge. So, okay. So yes, we could do that.
Thank you.
Anybody else, Jim? Or, I'm sorry, John?
I had a quick question on your new fencing you put in. Can you explain to me on the side towards the bit of a strip mall there, how did you come up with where you start the fence and where did you end the fence? I'm just trying to understand the strategy.
Sure. The fence is proposed to be started right around this area, extending along the back here to right about that area. I think it's A for screening, B for volleyballs or anything from going over into that particular area. Those are
And why doesn't it extend down further? Because isn't the parking lot and all that for the other place over there?
It is, that's something that we could ask the applicant and she could consider that, but there is existing vegetation there. The applicant does plan on planting some vegetation there. We thought that might be a little softer, a little more friendly between uses. We don't anticipate any volleyballs or anything going across that area because that's not where the field of play is. So just trying to keep it a little more open, but I think that's something the applicant would consider if necessary.
So is the real purpose of it to keep volleyballs in, or is it to keep people from place to place? I'm just trying to understand the purpose of it, just like I'm going to ask on the other side, the purpose of it and how high it is. So how high are these? Because I didn't see them in the print, so I don't know how high they are or.
Yeah, I'd have to double check that. I believe it's a 6-foot high fence, but I can double check that and get back to you on that. As far as it is for volleyballs, it is for people, it is for noise. There's a multi-purpose for the fence. On the east side, it's probably more just to keep volleyball in play away from the parking lot and the cars.
Okay,
Yeah, the fence is not specified on the plan in
Oh,
terms of
okay.
time, just says fence.
right.
And the length is there. Where it starts, it's gonna start roughly and next to where the
Restroom is,
pergola is, and then extend a little bit further north of the second volleyball. But it's not specified as a 6-foot fence or anything of that nature.
Okay, I apologize for that. We can make sure.
That's okay.
we find out.
okay, thank you for the clarification.
You're welcome.
And the other one, and you ran it the way you did, for the volleyball approach, because like what do you view the human traffic to be to get to the volleyball courts? Do you view them that they're going to go from the parking lot and walk across to the volleyball court? Or are they going to have to walk back or walk into the grass on the other side and walk down? Or they have to enter through the other side?
Yeah, my thought for pedestrian traffic circulation would be, this would be the main area of entrance. We do have the striped walkway, also the unloading area for the handicap stalls. This would be what I envision as the A, the service area, B, registration check-in area, whatever for whatever would be going on. So people could gather there and then go back to the fields. I don't anticipate people would go up and around. I picture this as kind of the central entrance area.
So the business model is going to have each of the entrants come into the main business and then off to the volleyball courts, or can I reserve a court and have, 10 of my bestest pals there get a court and play volleyball?
Yeah, I would estimate that this would be the main entrance way, and Jenna can confirm that for me, but this would be the service area for the bar, just the general gathering area, and these would be ancillary to that use.
All right, thanks.
Go
I have a very quick question
Go ahead.
on that subject. You might want to consider a higher fence. If I was playing, there's no doubt that it would go over a 6-foot fence. It would be only one time, but I would get it over there. Then the other issue is once it's over there, how am I going to get the ball back? Are you going to put a gate in?
Yeah.
So I'd consider 8, 9. Now there's an expense to
We
that.
have limits though.
But that's better than, oh, the ball's over there again. And I gotta run around the fence and get to that.
Nets too. We've got.
Oh,
trees over
nets.
here, And then, so like the fence 6 feet high and then hanging nets from the trees. Up and down.
Okay, bye.
Thank you.
Yeah, because I think have a side lot limit on a fence of 6 feet.
6 feet.
I wouldn't want her to have to get a variance. She'd have to get a variance if she
No.
went bigger, but that's a separate thing. But the nets wouldn't trigger that.
Yeah, that's why I was asking you how your people were going to work around
Okay.
this fence.
Understand. Okay. Thank you.
So other questions at this point? I guess the only thing I've had is there's been a substantial amount of tree removal already and the plans don't show that. In a subsequent plan document, can you show what is going to at least be remaining? I mean, you're indicating that some of those trees on the western boundary are remaining,
Correct.
but a lot of clearing's going on, and I don't know where the limits of that are.
Okay, we can show that. We do believe it is indicative of what's shown on the plan right now. But we can verify that, include that on the plan, make sure that's accurately depicted. And again, the applicants are proposing some trees where there weren't trees. They cut down some trees and it more or less opened up a bare spot. So they're proposing some evergreen trees in that particular area. So
Because I don't know that those plantings are clear here.
yes, yeah, we do need to add those to the black and white plan, but they are shown on the rendering and.
Okay, I take it it's the darker green is the planted one versus, all right. Which is fine, but it should be on that black and white plan as to what we're gonna see there. And I see the gentleman from upstate still standing. Do you have questions about your mitigation concern? Go ahead and feel free to use the mic.
Once again, Scott Seeblick, 207 Geyser Road, Upstate Transit. Just not to, I know it wouldn't be behoove me to besmirch the good citizens of Milton We do have a multi-jurisdiction property that's technically Saratoga Springs on the eastern side of our property. And we had to call out the cops several times last year because of vandalism and things on the property. And that's why we bring it up and raise that concern with more traffic coming in and people coming back there, which we had to deal with Saratoga authorities, not Milton authorities and citizens, of course, which never would have that. That's where our concern comes from. But once again, we fully support the project as it moves forward. But that was just our concern for any type of mitigation to be taken and ask it be taken into consideration. So.
Okay. So Scott, again, I think the tree clearing's got to be clear that you've left.
Sure.
If you're going to rely on the vegetative and distance to be the barrier, how does that work?
Sure. Okay. We can make sure we get that in the plans.
And at least reflect that in the plan. To put something on there. So in the event that something does happen, if Upstate comes back, we can revisit it.
Sure.
It's a compliance thing.
Tell us why it's being built as a bar. It's athletic.
So okay. A couple of things. One, the applicant does intend to have alcoholic beverages there. It's not her prime driving force, but the permitted use that's there. I mean, we came in, we don't have a permitted use in the town center for athletic sports facility. And I think when we first came in, it was going to be a recreation facility.
Looking at the business model, I changed it to bar because I need to survive in the winter and so it'll be a lot quieter out in the backyard in the winter. But it's sort of a mix of the rec center and bar model. And I think, yes, there will be beer and wine. I don't plan on having liquor. It's light beer and wine and then we'll want to do a fun plan like mocktails and non-alcoholic beers, things like that, like a mix, but make it very laid back. But the definition that made the most sense was choose bar.
Because that's a permitted use in the town center, and that got her in. So the ergo, where Jim raised the concern, we're doing a site plan for a bar with limited hours, and he just wanted to make sure we reflected those hours in there, because typically most of our bars in Milton are open till 2 a.m. So. And Jenna clearly is not wanting to be open till 2 a.m. That wasn't the intent. So the other thing on that I would ask though, is you were saying the outdoor activities would end at 9 o'clock, or is it just the athletic activities ending at 9? Do you envision in the summer, the pavilion, the pagoda continuing to be used up until your hours of, what did you say, 11 p.m.?
Yeah,
Or midnight? You said midnight.
I really like.
Can you use the microphone?
Oh, sorry. Yep.
Yes, the use of the volleyball courts would go till 9:30 at the latest, and then we can shut down the lights so that the neighbors aren't affected by the lights from the volleyball courts. And then as far as following that, I do see this area probably going about until 10 and then stop serving drinks around 10 and then let people relax, hang out until 10:30, 11, and then close down the bar. Yeah. That's the plan.
Okay. So I'd ask Jim, just for clarity, what are you seeing for if we did a condition on hours? I mean, originally she said, or Scott had said it would be 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. with outdoors limited to, Jenna just said 9:30.
I think that's adequate.
For
Those
the
hours.
sports activities and the lighting, but if she were to continue, let's say the pagoda was open until midnight, would that still be in your, you know what I'm saying is people won't be out there necessarily playing volleyball and the lights going and everything like that, but they may still be outdoors. Because you had talked about having a fire pit potentially.
This area will be a lot quieter, like
Yeah.
I'm considering adding some, like, this is just vegetation. I want to make it like really nice. And so we will try to do our best to be like, to create this up here as the later night
Yep.
space, if we're talking after 10 PM. And then this whole back here will be quiet. And so yeah.
So are you good with that?
I'd like to see all outdoor activity done by 9:30. That's just my opinion. Because, there are folks that hang out, it could be getting loud.
Request 10 is like a counter is maybe 9:30 for the volleyball courts because they're super bright. And then whatever is happening, pergola, like ping pong tables, 10 o'clock seems reasonable.
Yeah, just make a proposal and, the board can act on it.
Okay.
And as long as those hours are clearly specified on the site plan,
Yeah.
but that's the most important part, I think. The hours will be up to the board.
62 days.
If I could, on that thought, that request, as far as the courts and the outdoor activities, volleyball, the outdoor games, those are in this area, and even the back court is in line with the back of the Country Club Plaza to the west. As far as the pergola and the outdoor service area, those are basically in front of that plaza. So as far as, noise, whatever from that facility, I would probably contend that there's probably more background noise from Geyser Road than there would be from those activities.
Got a clock.
And it is a very good distance
Be here
to
next
the
month.
residents in that area. So just for the board consideration, I just want to put that in perspective. Again, I really like this particular visual because this does give a perspective to what the most sensitive adjoining property owners might be, which are those residents. And we're a really good distance away from those. And there's structures and trees and a lot of different things that would mitigate any noise from it. So again, just want to bring it up.
Okay, I appreciate that. I'll just add a note that I have the Saratoga Winery behind me, and that's a half a mile as the crow flies, and I hear them on Fridays. So sound does carry.
Bernadette, you have?
Yeah, I have a couple more questions. So I'm not hanging out at bars down here. Do any of the other bars right on that strip, like of Geyser, like Dozers, do they have outdoor seating? Does anyone know?
That my knowledge, Dozers does
Okay.
not, but the Milton Tavern does have,
That little thing in the front.
on the,
And
Sorry, Doja's has a couple of tables outside.
okay.
One does not generate from that location, but it does generate from Milton Tavern.
Okay.
so my question is, what are we holding other bars to? I wouldn't want to
Again,
be.
we
too-
haven't done it. We haven't done any conditions that I wasn't here. I mean,
Sure.
Dozers
Neither of us-
predates
none of us
any
were
of
here,
us.
yeah.
Milton Tavern did get something a few years back. I don't think it required an amendment to their site plan, so I don't think there's,
There was already a bar.
yeah.
So I guess my concern is, yes, like you don't want it to be too loud, but I don't want to be overly strenuous about our demands about
Yeah.
time. Yeah, I don't think hitting volleyballs till 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock is a good idea, So I don't know if we can maybe take a look at, or perhaps you guys do Lake Work, take a look. I don't want to be overly restrictive, but I understand and do want to have some
Sure.
Guidance there. I don't see it. I might have missed it, but did Mary Beth, is she satisfied with she has some questions about like the leach field and stuff like that with the sports sort of facilities on top of it?
So she had asked for that extra, testing to be done, percolation testing, and which Scott did do. Have you forwarded that to?
I
The
did
town-
forward a comment response letter to the town. I
Okay.
estimating that Mary Beth got all of that.
Yep.
She has in the past.
She hadn't raised it in her most recent comments to us.
Okay.
The only one that she raised, Bill Lewis raised and she raised in Sophia's thing, was the turning radius for emergency services. And then you had also the extent of clearing being articulated on the site plan of the vegetative cutting that had occurred. So at this point, any other questions at this point?
Yes, I wanted to say,
Go right
I
ahead.
agree with Bernadette that I would hate to restrict a business. They're in business and trying to do business. Are you going to play music outside?
I spoke with the Building code chair would be.
The mic, sorry.
So there's a certain level of DBI that we're
Mhm.
allowed to, and so my answer is yes, but being respectful of that and as well as like late night, shifting it to like a laid back vibe. But there will be, I think, yes, there will be music, but it will be curated and we're aware of the level that we're able to raise it to. And then also we're going to be doing testing too, to make sure like it's not too loud as far as we go back. Like we're making an effort to, be respectful. I think I mentioned too before, if I ever did live music, it would be like a laid back, low, like guitar kind of vibe, like very laid back vibe, not like intense, loud band kind of vibe. It's we're conscious of what we're trying to curate here and also of the neighbors.
So I'm thinking 11.
Well, I think what Bernadette did and Jim did is ask them to kind of articulate what that would be. I think the idea of turning off the lights and maybe stopping the volleyball, certainly at dark or shortly after dark, I think you want that, okay, we're playing, it's 8:45, it's almost dark, the lights are on, but we're done at 9:30, the lights go off. And
Yep.
I think we need to see what she wants to give us. So we have, are we done with questions? So we have right here some outstanding considerations for the emergency services turnaround. And I would ask that you definitely work with Bill Lewis and the fire chief to make sure that they're satisfied with what's done, because we're going to defer to the chief on this one. The second being the extent of the clearing being articulated in the plans, as well as some of the plantings that are on the black and white drawings to be done, and that you then articulate to us what you think is a reasonable hours of operation and conditions of those operations. I totally get what you're saying. Till midnight indoors. I got to run a business. I got to make sure I can survive.
Yeah, that's a good, I like that idea. Like,
But I'd like you to give us what
good point.
we can react to that.
Okay.
If we go longer or earlier, that'll be up to us. We've got 62 days. The clock has started. I'd encourage you to get those back to us and get on our next month's agenda. I'm sure you want to get started as well. So, so that's what I'd say. We need to see those couple of things. I don't think anybody's comfortable right now approving it. Certainly, we do know that EMS wants to hear what's finally been agreed to.
Okay.
Does that sound
Do I
fair?
need to coordinate that? Because that's.
Yes, Scott will respond to
I
that.
think you should give an idea of what the other bars do too. in
Yes.
your area.
Okay. All right.
Does that do you get it?
Yes, yeah, we have our marching orders. I have a list and
Okay.
we'll be back next month.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you very
All right,
much.
thank you.
I did close the hearing. We closed it. Yeah, we did. That's what I said. So, yes.
He didn't.
Oh, all right. We got to pull the board. So, well, we'll close it as we said at 7:17 PM since we stopped that comment. Bernadette gave a motion. John gave a second, so please pull the board.
Mr. Marsicano,
Yes.
yes. Ms. Mandanza,
Yes.
Mr. Whittle,
Yes.
Mr. Fry,
Yes.
Ms. Marin,
Yes.
Chairman Narto.
Yes. Okay. Next, we have a request to expend the special use permit for the Austro Solar Farm at 6654 Middle Grove Road. If you recall, we approved the site plan and special use for this project back on April 2021. But due to an estate settlement involving the applicants, we've had several requests for extending the special use permit that's there. Most recent extension request is to work out some easement agreements on the property and some outstanding DEC issues of siting on a landfill. So they can commence their installation. The request is for a 6-month, last one, extension approved in November 2024, expires June 10th, 2025. At this point, I will entertain a motion to grant a 6-month extension for the special use permit for the Austro Solar Farm at 6654 Middle Grove Road for 6 months from June 10th, 2025 to December 10th, 2025. Anything else that I need to have on there? Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I so move.
John Whittle, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Jim Fry. Any further discussion? If being none, please pull the board.
Mr. Marsicano?
Yes.
Yes. Ms. Mandenza?
Yes.
Mr. Whittle?
Yes.
Mr. Fry?
Yes.
Ms. Marin? Yes. Chairman Barto?
Yes. Okay, next we have the continued review of the major subdivision at 336 Rowland Street. If you recall, we approved the preliminary plat on this project in February of 2023 and have granted several extensions of the approval while the applicant has worked out sewage issues with DEC and Saratoga County. I believe at long last, we have some resolve to those issues. We may be on our way to a final plat at this point. Mr. Hiller, can you give us an update? It's been a while since we've seen this.
Yes, very excited to be back in front of the board. Yes, it's been a long, long time.
Can I have your name if you don't mind?
Yeah, yep. Doug Heller from the LA Group, here representing Trojanski Builders, who's the applicant, and I have Josh Thomas here from Trojanski too. So yeah, like I mentioned, very excited. It's been a long, long process, and we finally got over that hump with the DEC sewer extension permit approval. So basically, going to kind of highlight the changes to the plans since you've last seen this, and the only changes to the plans were kind of addressing the conditions that we received during preliminary approval. So the first one was adding a no cut buffer on the backside of the lots. So there is a 20-foot no cut buffer along there, and that no cut buffer is also written in the HOA documents on restrictions of no tree or vegetation removal unless approved by the building department or the planning department. Why that last part, the building or planning department, what that allows is if there is a dead tree, someone would need to then come to the town to request to remove that dead tree or invasive or anything like that. But basically, per blanche, you can't go in there and remove any sort of vegetation or trees unless approved. The next one was adding additional trees along the northern boundary between the proposed road and the back of the lots here. So as it was discussed at the last meeting was adding 15 to 20 trees will be planted. The location of those will be kind of determined during construction, and the intent is to kind of fill in any sort of gaps there. So the builder, Trojanski, will be working with the building department on the exact location of those trees. But like I said, we put in there 15 to 20 of those trees to kind of add in there as needed. The next one was adding the 4-foot public trail. Again, that is running along the north side between the proposed road and the subdivision to the north. That trail would be a public trail, and there will be an easement over that trail too. And that again is in the HOA, or there's a draft easement in there for turning over that trail. And the intent of the trail too is to kind of weave in between those trees so they're not taking out large trees to construct that 4-foot path. But that's starting on Rowland Street, going all the way back to Burning Pines Drive, where it'll connect into that road there.
I just want to see it.
Next one is, so there is a proposed emergency access connection on Burning Pines Drive to the proposed road that would have a gate and Knox box on there. Both that drive and the gate, that is on HOA land, and the HOA is responsible for maintaining that, and that's in the HOA documents, that gate. Going back to the 4-foot path, there is shown on the future potential property to the east. There was some discussions at the last meeting. This is going back, geez, a year and a half, 2 years ago, that if that parcel were ever to be developed, that there could be trail connections through there. but what's shown on here as a dashed line is that potential extension of that line. Then we also have that all the homes should be and lighting should be dark sky compliant on all exterior lights. We have that note on the plans, and again, that's also in the HOA documents. All exterior lights shall be dark sky compliant. And then the last one was to add street trees, which you can actually see on this plan. Thank you for bringing this up. The proposed street trees all along the proposed road. About 2 to 3 trees per lot is what we're looking at along there. So those were the big changes. Like I said, everything else since then has been mostly dealing with the DEC sewer extension. So there's been no other really plan changes besides addressing those conditions on the last one.
Okay, so Sophia, Marusa, do you have comments for us at this point?
Mr. Heller reviewed nearly note for note everything in my review, which kind of stole my thunder.
You don't have to go over it all again
So I
then.
will not reiterate it, but just to reaffirm to the board, we reviewed the plans. They're nearly identical, save for the minor additions or slight modifications that were requested of the applicant by the board. We're very comfortable and would advise that a second public hearing would not be required for this project, considering the substantial completeness. And again, all the conditions that were identified with the preliminary plat approval have either been addressed or in motion to be addressed by virtue of the sequence of approvals that have to be issued. So we are satisfied.
Okay. And we've gotten the final escrowing documentation from our engineer.
So I know Mr. Heller and Mary Beth have been working back and forth with an estimate, and she had come up with a recommended value. I don't want to speak out of turn and would entirely defer to her comment and reflecting that. I will just note that her email indicates that she recommends $990,000 security.
Oh, how much?
$990,000 security for the improvements. So without Mary Beth being here currently, my only guidance would be that if that was something that required further discussion with the applicant, we wait for the time that she's gonna happen. That's
Yeah, no, and that the Trojanski buildings has no issues with that amount. So
Well, actually, the amount that came through on the final and updated one was 1,133,791.
because there was contingency added in there, and in her email, she mentioned typically contingency is not added.
So then that number is the 960,839.
the final value that she recommended that be established as 990,000. No,
190,000.
yes,
This is what
as
we-
of Monday, May 12th.
That's what you're all,
Yeah, I saw the 990. I was going with the 990, and that's the applicant's okay with the 99. Perfect.
That's great.
okay. I just want to make sure I have that correct.
Yep.
And, okay, the only question I had is where do we ultimately stand now? What's going to be improved along Rowland Street? I think the condition we'd had in the last one, back when we approved this, was that there would be a sidewalk put in. But then I know we went through several discussions about, well, how much do we put in? And then we don't know what's going to go there. And we don't want to be ripping up curbing and stormwater. So I'd just like a sense,
Yeah.
get a clarification of what's gonna or not gonna happen out
Yeah,
there.
so right now, the plans do not show a sidewalk along Rowland Street. What the intent is basically, once this project starts going, we haven't started yet on the design of that lot 1 there, but Dave Trojanski is eager to kind of start that process, but wants to kind of get this going and then come back and, any sort of improvements on lot 1 would would have to meet those requirements of sidewalks and lighting or anything like that.
I mean, I get it. There's been no articulation. Dave hasn't had any thoughts of what he wants to do out there yet. There's a wide range of activities that could be permitted. And eventually we're gonna want to see sidewalks, street trees, curbs, stormwater. Now, the thing I would have is all the stormwater associated with the road addressed and it's all being contained on site, so nothing to Rowland Street.
Correct. Yep. Yep. Everything's going to two stormwater ponds for the
Okay.
road itself there.
Well, we could do something similar like we did with students and stuff like that when they were dealing with their other place where you give them some sort of time frame and you have them give us the plans for that.
We could, what we did with Stewart's, because again, we knew that a roundabout might be coming and we put a 5-year time frame and said,
Negotiate it.
you got to come back and either bring something to standard if nothing's happened
Yep.
or come in with what you're going to do on the site.
Yeah. Josh, I don't want to speak for you guys, but I assume that that would probably work, that, within the 5 years that, in my understanding is whatever's being developed on lot one would have to meet those standards of sidewalk and lighting.
Absolutely. And it made sense. We said if we put in storm drains and curbs and lighting, you don't know where ingress and egress is going to be.
Yeah,
You don't want to
yeah.
be ripping it all up to just, and I agree with
Yeah,
that, but
and to me,
All right.
I said that 5 years is very fair to, be able to develop plans, get on board.
draft something for a
that process.
5-year. Just note it. Okay, does anybody else have any questions at this point?
I have a quick question on the
Sure.
gate. You
The,
said the HOA was going to have responsibility.
Yes.
Well, what if I need to get in there and the HOA is at a ball game?
Yeah, there's a Knox box
Ah.
on there that allows the fire department. The responsibility actually comes more back to snow removal around there. That was one of the big
Yeah.
concerns is who's gonna remove the snow? So by putting that responsibility on the HOA, they have to remove snow, but the Knox box is still there that the fire department or whoever.
they will always have an ability to get through there. They'd drive a truck through it if they had. So, okay, so the requirement for everybody done comments at this point? So the requirement for a public hearing on a final subdivision plat approval is optional so long as the preliminary plat is in substantial agreement with the final plat. And our planners recommended that. I think we're pretty consistent with what that is. So I'm prepared to entertain a motion to waive the requirement for a public hearing pursuant to section 154(9)(d)(2) of the code, finding that the final plat is in substantial agreement with the preliminary plat.
I'll make the motion.
Bernadette? Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Sakano, any further discussion? There being none, please pull the board.
Mr. Marsicano,
Yes.
Ms. Padula,
Yes.
Ms. Mandanza,
Yes.
Mr. Whittle,
Town center.
Yes, I'll agree.
Mr. Fry,
Yes.
Ms. Marin, Chairman Barto.
Yes. Okay, does the board have any further questions or see any need for additional information or conditions on this project? In which case, I have a set of conditions that'll, I think, help us. Let me go through those quickly. So the first is that you would submit to the building department for approval of the town council the terms of the permanent public easement for the future trail connection indicated on the plat. You've got the one going into Geyser Crest where we're going to end at the end of the turning circle. You've left an easement there that says we might, if we get a future thing. So those would have to be submitted. Submit to the building department proof of the homeowners association in a satisfactory form to the town council and the town designated engineer that demonstrates the homeowners association responsibility for the gravel emergency access road, which you've indicated you would do. And I think that's all going to ride with however the HOA gets approved. Applicants shall submit to the building department and approval of the town council, the homeowners association insurance coverage, naming the town as additionally insured. All that, they assume will also be the HOA approval. We have all exterior lighting, including the dark sky feature, which you've indicated it will be done. Submit for approval of the highway superintendent, the planting of the trees along Noah's Way, which you appear to have done. Shall remit the recreation fee of $2,000 per dwelling unit and all outstanding escrow associated with the engineering upon final signature. So I think that escrow was estimated at, where's the first resolution? was going to say. Yeah, it was. Well, $2,000 per unit or $26,000 because we were at 13 units, I believe, correct?
Yep.
Okay. Applicants submit to the building department copies of the required sewer permits issued by Saratoga County Sewer District. It's going to have all the DEC, DOH on it. The applicant will provide the 4-foot wide concrete walk around Rowland Street, which I'm going to remove because we had that in. But I'm going to change that to the applicant shall submit within 5 years of a final plat approval, plans for the design consistent with the town center guidelines on the Rowland Street lot.
Good.
So whether that's with the project or we're going to come back and revisit if it doesn't get done in 5 years.
Makes sense.
So I'm taking out this one here. A new 8. And then finally, you'll submit pursuant to town code section 154-14A, execute and file with the town clerk a performance bond or other surety in the amount of $990,000. So those would be the conditions. Anybody have any other conditions that we should have had? If not, and the board concurs, I would entertain a motion to approve the final subdivision plat for 336 Rowland Street, subject to those conditions I just outlined.
Mr. Chairman, I so approve, or so move.
On Whittle,
I'll second.
Jim Fry. Any further discussion? There being none, please pull the board.
Mr. Marsicano,
No, as I noted previously, it is not consistent with adjacent neighborhoods to sandwich houses between two roads.
Ms. Padula,
Yes.
Ms. Van Denza,
Yes.
Mr. Whittle,
Yes.
Mr. Fry,
Yes.
Ms. Marin,
Yes.
Chairman Bartow.
Yes. Okay, so we'll get this final resolution. We made a few adjustments. We'll clean it up and get that out to you in the next day or two
Okay, excellent.
to make sure that you have that.
I appreciate it. I
Okay.
appreciate everyone's patience on this one too.
That wasn't your fault. That would be DC and Saratoga County. Yeah. Yeah, we'll go bounce back, make sure we got it. Okay. Next project is a minor subdivision application for a 4-lot subdivision at 199 Stone Church Road. Is Mr. Lehner or his representative here? Please come up, introduce yourselves.
I am Laura Lehner. My husband Jeff Lehner. And on 199 Stone Church Road.
Okay, if you just, we got it up there. You want to give a quick overview of what you're proposing?
Well, we're proposing to, we already had one lot separated out from the big parcel, plus our main lot that we built our house on. And we wanted to make that one lot better use of the land into 2 lots, which would be 3A and 3B. Makes it a little bigger, goes deeper, and still meets all the requirements as far as acreage and setbacks. And then the 4th lot would be in the front on the to the, this would be the south side of our driveway. Smaller, nice lot closer to the house. So that ends up with, instead of the existing 2 lots, now we have 4 lots on the same
Okay.
property.
Okay, first on this, with respect to seeker, this is an unlisted action, but so we don't have to do a coordinated review. In fact, I don't even think we have to do a county referral for this, do we? Okay, so I would entertain a motion that the Town of Milton Planning Board be considered a lead agency pursuant to the State Environmental Quality Review Act.
I'll make the motion.
Bernadette, do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Well, any further discussion? There being none, please pull the board.
Mr. Marsicano,
Yes.
Padula,
Yes.
Ms. Van Denza,
Yes.
Mr. Whittle,
Yes.
Mr. Fry,
Yes.
Ms. Marin? Yes. Chairman Barto?
Yes. Ms. Marusa, do you have any comments for us at this point?
Sure. Good evening. As our applicants indicated, they're seeking a minor subdivision on lands they already own. It's nearly 100 acres off of Stone Church Road. This is R2 zone. They've got some areas indicated on the lands that we discussed that may include wetlands. So they are initiating the process of a JD request for DEC. Just as a refresher, DEC updated their wetland regulations. So there's a little bit of a process now for applicants or property owners who are looking to do certain activities if they have wetlands on the property. So they've initiated that. And I think kind of attesting to what we discussed earlier, we'll wait for the JD to come back from DEC so we can know a little bit more accurately if and where there are boundaries for the wetlands. But other than that, there were no other substantial comments, and that's more procedural than anything. Once we know what where those boundaries are, then we can update the buildable lots with those dimensions. The surveyor should be able to plug that in.
Okay. Does the board have any questions at this point?
I want it known that they're my neighbor. They live across the street from me. I'm at 200 Stone Church.
Okay.
Rule impartially on this?
Yes. It's known that when I describe our property, there's this beautiful house on Stone Church. I live across the street. And it's identifiable that way. It's just marked.
Okay.
What about water and sewer? Where are they going to get that from?
They're going to have to do that on site.
Yeah, they're gonna have to do it on site. There's
Yeah,
nothing.
So,
that goes
so as
back
part of
there.
the lot layout, they're eventually going to have to show that they can fit buildable building area, the sewer and the water within
With
those.
all
setbacks.
setbacks and
And the real unknown,
Down there, or do we have to do with water and sewer?
there's no water and sewer to get to there. You'd have to go to Ackland Boulevard, I believe.
Right.
And there's
Yeah, there's plenty of water.
Well, don't use mine. And don't align that driveway on Plot 4 there with my driveway. Other than that, I have no comments.
Okay. Anybody else have any other comments? So the big question mark at this point is the DEC wetlands, and those are ineffective as of January 1st this year. And the presumption is wetlands exist. They've got to determine and classify they do, and then what are the boundaries around them, including a 100-foot buffer. That could well affect, I mean, we know there's going to be some wetlands here. That could well affect where your lot lines and buildable area lines are. So have you put in a jurisdictional inquiry with DEC?
The surveyor brought in a wetlands delineator person that did do that, but not probably from DEC. So I'm not sure what the new requirements are, because this was all last summer.
Yeah, that would have been under the old regulations. So you got to initiate a correspondence to DEC saying, this is our project, this is what we're proposing, here we are. Can you give us a classification and jurisdictional determination of whether or not we have wetlands? I can assure you that map will look different than what your delineator had previously. It's because it used to be the maps were filed and the boundaries were fixed. Now they're going to actually do an interpretation. So Sophia can probably connect you to who you have to get in touch with. It's going to be Region 5, right?
Yeah, and I think we did look at that together, that little entry, the little submittal request for the JD. So it's all in
Okay.
form online now. So
Yeah.
any property owner, I believe they have to be the property owner.
You do.
Right,
Yes.
to initiate the request, then DC is supposed to respond within 90 days.
Yeah, there's a process that if they don't respond, you send a certified letter, and if they still don't respond, you assume there's no wetlands. So I don't think you'll face that situation, but there is a fairly rigid process right now.
Okay.
So yeah, I'd get that going because they reserve the right for 90 days. So it's going to slow you down a little bit.
for your map you're showing us here in the drawings in the plot plans, does that show the whole lot 4A?
That's where our property actually is, right?
Yeah, no.
Yeah, but 4A goes around and over, right?
Yeah, it goes
Yeah.
over
So-
behind and back.
Because you
Because
end up,
that's part of the subdivision, because they're all part of the lots, right? So I think you got to show it all.
you got to show it all on the final.
Got to show it all on the final.
Because your boundary goes down that driveway in the middle of Stone Church Road and there's another lot back in there.
I recognize you're just here to show what you're preliminarily doing, but you got to show the whole thing and then show the areas like where the wetlands
Sure,
are.
Yeah, because we just kind of went with Dan Wheeler, the surveyor.
Yeah, he
Oh.
surveyed everything and
Oh,
looked at
yeah.
DEC and everything, so I'm a little confused.
Yeah,
why
he
all of a sudden
said,
there's-
said we have what we needed.
He said
For that.
everything's done, but. So we have to figure out what exactly are we talking about
Just
with the DEC.
the whole, okay.
Contact the DEC.
Oh, the DEC, that unfortunately was the implementation of the regulation. When your surveyor did it,
Yeah.
he did it according to the process that existed in 2024.
Okay.
But on December 31st of 2024, DEC
But we
fought.
can't get this until after December, so I have to talk to Dan.
He made, trust me, a lot of people didn't know that this was happening.
And I'm more than happy to, we can have a call with them. We can chat through
Okay.
Yeah.
any of these items happily, no problem.
But what John's saying is you see on this drawing on the left side here, you've got that kind of tail that goes over and then comes back down to Stone Church Road. The full subdivision plat has to show that
Holes.
whole piece there.
Sure.
You get what I'm
The
saying?
old stone church you're talking about?
Yeah, where it goes,
The driveway goes.
yes.
That's not on.
Because it's all part
Of
of the
the
whole
subdivision.
subdivision. So it all has to be shown as one thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's what your code says.
Sure. All right, so.
Okay,
Okay.
so if you're clear, we'll see you as soon as you hear from DEC. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thanks.
Okay, next up, we have a proposal to construct a two-family residence at 521 Middle Line Road pursuant to our zoning, section 18087, district schedule of uses. This requires a special use permit. The project has been classified as a type 2 action under the State Environmental Quality Review Act, section 6 NYCRR, parts 617.5 C 11 and 18. If the board concurs, I would entertain a motion to classify the minor subdivision at 521 Middle Line Road a type 2 action under seeker.
I'll make the motion.
A second?
I'll second.
Oh, we had a double.
Oh, Diane,
Yeah.
we'll get you on the record.
Beat 'em.
Okay. Any discussion? If there is none, please pull the board.
Mr. Marsicano,
Yes.
Ms. Padula,
Yes.
Ms. Mandenzo,
Yes.
Mr. Whittle,
Yes.
Mr. Fry,
Yes.
Ms. Marin,
Yes.
Chairman Barto.
Yes. Are you Mr. Morocho?
Yeah.
Am I pronouncing? Okay, so if you just introduce yourself and give us a little overview of what you're doing.
Hello, my name is Freddie Morocho. I purchased the property about 2 years now, and I was, it's a big, it's a big structure. I think it's about 3,500 square feet. So it's been thinking about.
Could you step up to the mic a little closer, just so,
I've been, just wondering different options and, for the better use of the property. And I think that, given the circumstances and the size of the property, I decided to, ask for a special use permit for a two-family residence. The one side would be a 3-bedroom, a 3-bedroom apartment with 2 bathrooms, and then we're proposing that on the other side, it will be a 1-bedroom with 1 bathroom. So this will be a duplex. No major structure changes. The only thing that we might do structurally is on this end tail here, we might add like a covered porch, so probably extend 14, 15 feet, just continue the existing structure. That's the only major structure change that, it's not even a major structure, we just want to extend that so that we have a covered porch, side porch there. That's the only thing we're hoping to.
that would be up to you. I mean, whether you want to do that now and it's included in the plans,
it is
then
not-
fine. If not, then you just have to come back to the building department and get an addition thing on it. But the use is, the special use permit is specific to two single-family conversions. So, okay. Oh, it's Marissa. She's not here.
She's out.
I think she's talking to.
Okay. Well, we have her right up here. So if anybody has any questions on what she's given us, let me know. If not, does the board have any questions for the applicant at this point?
Is there going to be any adjustment to parking or anything, or is the road kind of just go up like that and then kind of end, or maybe you can help us understand
This
if,
is preliminary.
yeah, oh, of course.
The driveway is coming in.
Yeah.
What we have thought is that for this unit, which will be on this side here, we're gonna do a parking lot here. And then, because the way you will access this unit, it's through this side. Right now, there is an existing, there's a road, gravel parking lot there. So the access to this side of the unit would be through the back side of the house. To this other unit, you have to access it through the front, which has a long sidewalk. We reuse that and we'll make a parking lot here for approximately 3 or 4 vehicles. But we'll use the same driveway kind of, so the one parking lot will be here and the other one will be somewhere here.
Does that mean that just, if you could just make that clear, because I'm just curious of whether you plan on putting the parking right over the septic?
Yeah, so again, we did put 2 different septic units, again, preliminary plans, because there was a small confusion there. They wanted us to put 2 septics, but I think if we, there should be no problem to meet code requirements with 1 tank.
Yep.
There is.
Just asking.
Yeah, so there will, so most likely this septic system will not be here.
And Bill Lewis did call me on that and clarified that the code would allow 1 tank and 1 leach field. He's just got to build it to the scale of the number of bedrooms
Yeah.
that he has
I
there.
understand.
That's what he's,
And I believe it was the same for the well as well.
well, we're going to need to know that the well's 100 feet away. So if you could show it on the plat
Yep,
where the well is.
that was going to be my next
I know
point.
Bill has asked you for more information about the well.
Yeah.
I think what's the depth of it and so on. That's between you and him.
Absolutely.
That's really not us. We're just here to make sure that the infrastructure is adequate to support number of units and bedrooms in particular that you have here.
So what we would need to see is like where your septic is and then your setback for your well.
Okay,
I take it there's a well already in there?
there is.
There is.
I think Bill's trying to determine if it's meets the current DOH standards of
Right.
100 feet deep and whatnot.
Yeah,
So-
I'll take that with Bill and I
Yes.
have a well guy that hopefully they're busy. Hopefully gets there.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Okay. Okay, with that, Miss Marusa, do you have any comments for us?
Thank you for inviting me for the opportunity to comment. As my review indicates, the 2-family special use permit has its own little special set of criteria. So it did provide the board with a little walkthrough on those certain elements. The applicant's proposing to convert 1 existing single-family residential building into a 2-family building. We know that they'll be coordinating and are actively coordinating with the building department with regard to New York State Building Code and Fire Code requirements with regard to separation of units. We understand that they have the capacity potentially to be expanding an existing septic system that they'll bring up to code. The majority of these comments are kind of issues that come up at code enforcement and building permit time. But at this point, we're just trying to assess that there's feasible opportunity for utilities here. And we believe the applicant is on the way to demonstrating that. We don't anticipate that there's going to be any significant or adverse impact. It's a pretty low density area. There's adequate parking, adequate screening. There's no substantial concerns. As I had indicated in my review, I would recommend that it be considered a type 2 action according to 617.5C18. And it is subject to a county referral, so we will be waiting on the county planning board to issue comments simply just because of its location on County Route 59.
Any board comments, questions for Sophia? Okay, so when is the deadline for the county submission? so we can get this to them and have a referral back to us before June 14th? It's gonna be July? Okay. And what's our July date of our meeting?
There's a holiday in there, right?
Well, I'll tell you exactly. Right now. Okay, so you don't think we can get the county referral before the June?
No, I think it's after hours.
Okay. So what I'm willing to do, as long as you keep progressing on all the stuff with Bill Lewis, is we've done the seeker type 2 action, so this is seeker's done. I'm willing to entertain a motion for a public hearing for a special use permit at 521 Middle Line Road for July 9th
I'll make that motion.
at 7:05 PM.
7:05.
You gotta do it
Bernadette,
again now.
motion. Do I have a second?
Do it again. I'll second.
Okay. There any further discussion? There being none, please pull the board.
Marsicano,
Yes.
Ms. Dula,
Yes.
Ms. Van Denza,
Yes.
Mr. Whittle,
Yes.
Mr. Fry,
Yes.
Miss Marin,
Yes.
Chairman Barto.
Yes. So you're clear on everything we need. Most of your work is going to be with Bill Lewis in the building department and Sophia. So does he have a copy of your comments? You make sure he gets them?
Yes, Freddie and I have been coordinating through the whole process. He's got a copy of my review, I believe, but he and I will continue to.
Okay, so stay on track with that. We'll have the hearing in July and hopefully finish you off in July.
Thank you, appreciate it.
So,
Thank you.
yep. Finally, this evening, we have a minor site plan for the Hannaford at 11 Trieble Ave. Is there a representative for Hannaford here? Thank you for your patience.
Oh, I'm the 11th thing on the agenda. It's been a long night. Good evening. I'm Brandy Nelson. I'm an engineer with Chai and Bond, and we're representing Hannaford Supermarket this evening for the Hannaford store located just behind us here at 11 Tribal Ave. The application that we've made to the town is for a site plan amendment for a minor change to the back of the store. Probably if you use that store for your groceries, you don't go back there. But the back is where there is a receiving area for vehicles like box truck deliveries. They take local produce, and the smaller loading, all of the tractor trailers come in on the southwest corner of the site. They are sort of bursting at the seams in terms of being able to store food. And so where they have the loading area now, which consists of a covered awning, they would like to add a roughly 30 by 30, it's 31.9 by 34.3 addition at the back of the store and reconfigure the loading so that instead of facing west as it does now, it would face north. There's a slight grade change between the drive aisle and the store finished floor, so that would necessitate the addition of a ramp. So in total, the improvements that are being proposed are 1,440 square feet, consisting of the addition and then some concrete landing and ramp construction that would occur in the back of the store to make everything accessible by hand truck.
Okay. Miss Maruso, do you have any comments?
Hey, Brandy, it's good to see you. Hi. My only comment was with regard to the rear yard setback provision, which the applicant is aware of and has already made application for. Due to the unique placement of Hannaford and its proximity to the airport district, this site is subject to the more restrictive side and rear yard setback requirements of the two zones, which is why it's requiring a 75-foot rear yard setback. They're offering the 60.1 feet. They're seeking the variance for it. The side yard is not an issue. That's the only nature of comments that we really have at this time. It will receive referral of the county due to its location and proximity as well. And we will be awaiting those comments and forward them to the board when we receive them.
We also understand it's a type 2 action.
Yep, I was gonna just do that. So, as recommended by the planner, this is a type 2 action under the State Environmental Quality Review Act, 6 NYCR Part 617.5 C9. So I would entertain a motion that the Town of Milton Planning Board finds that this minor site plan amendment, is a type 2 action pursuant to the State Environmental Quality Review Act and does not require any further review. Motion.
Mr. Chairman, I so move.
John Whittle, a second.
I'll second.
Marsicano, any further discussion? If not, please pull the board.
Mr. Marsicano,
Yes.
Ms. Padula,
Yes.
Ms.
Yes, I'm
Mandenza,
sorry. Oh my gosh, I'm tired today. Yes.
Mr. Whittle,
Yes.
Mr. Fry,
Yes.
Ms. Marin,
Yes.
Chairman Barto.
Yes. Does the board have any comments, questions, or anything on this point?
I know you're making it bigger. Are you making it big enough?
I believe
Because it
so.
doesn't seem very big.
It's
just-
not very big. I think what's happening right now, so Hannaford, and I think this was sort of standard in the industry, post-COVID, grocery stores sort of shifted the way they're receiving. They're trying to keep a little bit more product in store. Right now, they're using some temporary trailers to store some material that's
Yeah, I've
not
seen that.
desirable. It creates a lot of like logistical challenges. So we're doing several of these small additions on a number of their stores in New York. And so this seems to be what they think will work for them for the near term.
Okay, so I'm hearing that as you might be back for another one.
All I can tell you is that's what I know now.
Yeah.
Yeah, these kind of things come up every, 10 years or so.
Right, because when we put this in there, remember, it was one size, then we made it bigger,
Mm-hmm.
and we had to make it that special weird shape that it is now,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
In order to meet it. But since we're going for these variances and we're trying to do that, just might be beneficial to ask them, is this really the size you want for this particular store?
I will certainly.
Because it's smaller than the store that they really wanted to put there.
Mhm.
So I don't know if they want more space.
Right, okay. Yeah, I think we do recognize that there's that limitation with the airport and this really is just for better grocery receiving and storage. But I will follow up and I will get back to you.
It's a crowded store.
I haven't been inside that one, so.
Go there on a Saturday or
Yeah,
Sunday,
that-
and you'll know.
That's why I'm suggesting that maybe they want to have some product and they can move it out
Yeah,
easier if they put the product there, since then they can just refill the shelves if they have the product.
right, okay. I will double check.
Any other questions from the board at this point? So the only thing I have, you obviously know you need an area variance for the rear yard setback. It's the larger of the two variances, which is the airport zone 60 feet. You got 36. So I think you're scheduled for the ZBA
We are
later
scheduled
this
for the
month.
ZBA next Thursday.
So that needs it. We also need this to get, we're going to need a sign off from the FAA. I don't think it's a problem.
Oh.
This is in the
We
approach zone.
thought that it was out, but I will.
It is in the approach zone. I think you're
You're looking for the determination.
just that the FAA doesn't have an issue.
Okay.
So that would be coordinating with county DPW and the
I
FAA.
was just gonna say, we will be referring the project to the county and I can put in a phone call to Chad Cook with
Yep.
comments as well. And just said, hey,
And let her know who she's got to get. We're just going to want to see a letter from the FAA saying it's there. It's not any bigger than what's already there. It's
not
fine.
taller than the existing
Yeah.
structures.
And then we do have to refer this to the county planning board. And then there is a fire lane back there. So if you could just ensure that what's left is going to accommodate the fire lane requirements
Okay.
that we have to have. So make sure that's there, because I know you're getting tight.
We talked about that before, and the fire lane can be in the setback.
It can. I just want to
So
make
you-
sure
you
that,
can move it in deeper into the setback area if you need to.
Okay.
and I think we're getting to the limit. I think there's going to be 36 feet. Yeah.
Mhm.
So just show us that
Mhm.
it's,
Okay.
that it's fine. So that's all I have. Anybody else have anything else to? Okay, Ms. Nelson, thank you very much.
you all. Appreciate it.
Is there any other matter to be brought before the board tonight? There being none, I will entertain a motion to adjourn at 8:25 PM. Somebody gonna motion?
I'll make a motion.
I have a second.
We don't want to leave. We don't want to leave.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Jim Fry, any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? None? We're adjourned. Thank you very much, everyone.